Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, DwyerVIP.com, Dwyer Boxing on Roku, private channel. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, you know my opinion, that certain people, certain boxers who the public loves, really aren't that technically sound. The fighters themselves are talented, but they really haven't refined their talents. There are holes in their game. But yet, these are the fan favorites. So, Manny Pacquiao, for example, I think lacks a right hand. I think Manny Pacquiao is a good left hand wrapped around foot speed and agility, and he's just trying to take you out with that left hand. Right, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., another big name in the sport, had the talent to develop his skills, didn't really do it. You know, he's a guy who, quite frankly, has had some fights, the Sebastian Zvick fight, where he was outworked. He's a guy really relying on size more than technique. He tries to overpower guys. He does have a big punch. He does have a great left hook. Unfortunately, he hasn't really developed the game around it, right? As people know, I picked Sergio Martinez over him. Now, as overrated as those fighters are, in my opinion, Daniel Geale and Anthony Mundine are underrated. For me personally, these guys represent the real side of the sport. Of all the fights on the docket that I know of, other than perhaps Floyd Mayweather against Robert Guerrero, this is the fight that, to me, has the two most talented technicians, not just talent, but technique. Not just raw material, but actual refinement. This fight, like the first fight between these two, is going to be fought at an extraordinarily high level. The kind of stuff these guys do routinely, few fighters do. Let me say this too. Daniel Geale, in my opinion, already is one of the sport's best pound for pound. He has a chance with this fight and some others in his division, right? He is one of the middleweight champions. There are some big names at middleweight, right? He has a chance to really be special. Let's talk about this fight. I think the odds are a complete joke. Right now, Anthony Mundine is a 3-1 underdog. Let me just say, were Mundine to fight Floyd Mayweather, even in that fight, I would not make him a 3-1 underdog. Right? Anthony Mundine is an elite fighter, has been underrated for years, was just a few minutes away from beating Swenotke years ago when he got caught on the temple with the perfect punch, ending the fight. Right? Mundine defensively is a master. Understand that Daniel Geale, at this stage, Mundine's 37, Daniel Geale is the better athlete. He has the faster hands. He has the better foot speed. He can move much better than Anthony Mundine. He does move much better than Anthony Mundine. He's a combination puncher. That's rare in the sport, right? He's a combination puncher who can open up on you with both hands. But yet Geale is also defensive, right? His hand speed and combination punching simply overwhelmed Sebastian Sylvester in Germany, as well as Felix Sturm, again, in Germany, right? He's blindingly fast. Look at his fight against Roman Karmazin. Karmazin is a warrior. Karmazin was completely overmatched. And yet, with these offensive tools, as well as an excellent jab that Geale can double, can triple, can quadruple. He's not just throwing a good jab, he's able to double up on the jab. And think about the talent level. He's throwing a lot of punches, but yet he's not getting hit flush. Even with that kind of hand speed and volume and ability to pump a jab. When he fought Mundine, and understand Mundine is in that rare air with guys like Floyd Mayweather, where they work on angles. In other words, Mundine has figured out what you can land as he stands in front of you. And so regardless of what you do, if Mundine has figured out that his shoulder is going to stop your right hand, he's not worried about it, right? If you look at the first fight, and it's a masterpiece, you're going to see Mundine with his hands down at times against a combination puncher with a jab. And Mundine is not getting hit with anything substantial, right? Let me also point out too, for those interested in just key moments in fights that show high level ability, look at the knockdown in the first fight. It's classic. Really, it's one of those things that I look at from time to time as elite boxing maneuver. The two guys are standing in front of them. It's not a flash knockdown. It's framed. The two guys are standing in front of each other. Mundine, right-handed, both guys are righties. Mundine throws some fake left hands. What do I mean by fake? He's not feinting the left hand. He actually throws the punch. But he throws the punch on Geale's guard, right? And yes, Geale also has pretty good defense. He throws the punch on Geale's guard. So he throws a couple of left hands on Geale's guard, right? You can tell Mundine is actually trying to set up a right hand. But then Mundine, after touching Geale's gloves a couple of times with the left, so Geale moves the hands out, right? He's blocking Mundine's left hand. Mundine doesn't come back with the right hand. He actually then comes forward with a left hook. So literally, he gets Geale to move his hands to block his left hand. Then with the same left hand, he comes back and catches Geale. Geale goes down. And what's interesting is as Geale goes down, you actually see the real punch that Mundine was setting up. Mundine actually leans forward. You could tell Mundine was actually planning on throwing a straight right hand. What you have here is a chess match of the highest order, right? The first fight was razor close. Mundine was awarded the decision. I can't argue with it. Mundine was the fighter who got the one knockdown in the fight. Mundine defensed most of what Geale threw at him. The fight could have gone to Geale. It was that close. In the rematch, let's just say that as a gambler, I like the over in the fight, right? That's the way I'm playing my money. If I'm going to experiment, I'll hedge it with Mundine at 3-1 odds to win the fight, simply because I don't believe Anthony Mundine should be a 3-1 underdog to anybody in boxing within his weight class. Yes, I'd make him a 3-1 underdog at least against Vladimir Klitschko. But as long as Mundine is fighting within his weight class, he shouldn't be a 3-1 underdog, even at 37 years old, to anybody in the sport. Right? Here's what I think will happen, though. As a fan, I'm expecting Daniel Geale to win this fight. Why? Because Father Time beats us all. I think Mundine is like Juan Manuel Marquez, another great fighter. These guys have the technical know-how. They can outthink you in the ring. The problem is they're not as fast as they were in their 20s or early 30s. Right? Father Time has robbed them of a little bit of their explosiveness. Right? The other guy is usually faster than these guys. Anthony Mundine's biggest strength is his knowledge. He is a master at angles. Really, it's breathtaking if you're into watching fighters who can literally stand in front of you, just raise a forearm, raise an elbow, and not worry about anything you're throwing on this side. Nothing. In other words, they have the head tucked and everything like that. Right? The problem, let me just say too, that cost Mundine in the Swinatki fight, because Mundine, I'm sure, thought he had everything to fence, and then the punch came in and literally hit him right here. The problem's simply this. If Daniel Geale simply moves his feet a little more, because Mundine now no longer has great lateral movement, no longer has great foot speed. If Daniel Geale can just move his feet a little bit more and back out, use distance between the fighters, back out after an onslaught in which he'll have the superior combinations. He's the combination puncher, not Mundine. In which he'll have the flashier moves. Right? Few things in life are more exciting. Few things in boxing. In life there are a lot of things, but few things in boxing are more exciting than great explosive hand speed. Right? Geale is more of the showman. Mundine is the subtle guy. Right? If this were basketball, Mundine is more the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, keeping you on the hip before a sky hook. He's more the subtle guy than the slam dunker. Right? Because Geale is more crowd friendly, more explosive, flashier, his game is more accessible. And because if Geale just simply gets back out and forces Mundine to come to him, like I believe opponents should force Floyd Mayweather to come to them, I don't think there's much that that Mundine can do to catch up to Daniel Geale. I think Geale tactically made a mistake in the first fight by keeping too much in the pocket. I get the feeling that Geale has looked at the tape a million times and realizes it. So I'm expecting Daniel Geale to win this fight. If I had a gun to my head and I had to pick a winner, I would take Daniel Geale to win this fight. How am I betting the fight? Because I don't think Geale knocks out a defensive master like Mundine. And keep in mind, Sebastian Sylvester went the distance with Geale. Right? The Roman Karmazin knockout was late. Right? Felix Sturm went the distance with Geale. Because I believe that Geale likely wins this fight by decision, I like the over in the fight. I believe it's a highly competitive fight. This way, once we get past the over-under, whatever it is, once we get past that over-under, I can exhale and know that when they announce a decision, whether it's Geale or Mundine, I'm taken care of. Right? I don't believe you're getting enough value at 10-3. At greater than a minus 300 at American odds. I don't think you're getting enough value to take Daniel Geale straight up in the fight. Right? So I wouldn't take Geale straight up in the fight. I would lean to the over. If I'm going to experiment on the fight, if I'm just looking for a prop that has tantalizing numbers, then I would hedge the over, if the odds allow, with Anthony Mundine to win the fight. You're getting 3-1 odds. If you want to be even more high risk, because I believe this fight goes several rounds, then the hedge would be Mundine by KO. You're going to get greater than 3-1 odds because you're getting greater than 3-1 odds on just Mundine to win the fight. To sum up, I think Father Time wins this fight. I'm going with the younger fighter, the faster fighter, the better athlete, Daniel Geale. I thought the first fight was razor close, and I thought Geale fought the wrong fight. I think Mundine is a master, like Floyd and like Marquez. But of course, I believe everyone can be beaten in boxing, including Floyd and Marquez. And I believe Geale has the hand speed, the know-how, and the foot speed to pull it off. What Geale has to do, quite frankly, is fight more of an ambush style here. He needs to come in. He needs to triple, quadruple the jab, force Mundine to work. Then he needs to get back out. He shouldn't think about beating down Mundine. He should just think about outworking Mundine. He has the hand speed. He has the foot speed. He doesn't have to play chess with the Grand Master. If he can just hit and run and look flashy enough to convince the judges he's won 7 of the 12 rounds, right? You couple that with one of the better double, triple, quadruple jabs in the game. And I don't see why Geale should even have to allow Mundine to get close enough to him to be a big problem. I like Geale in this fight. I'll agree that Mundine technically has few peers and is probably the more technically gifted fighter in this fight. But, because he's been in the game longer, he's fought, the Aki fight was 2001. He also fought Mikhail Kessler. While Mundine has the knowledge, just like Floyd, just like Marquez, and that's how you should consider Mundine. Unfortunately, just like Floyd and Marquez, I just don't think he's physically ready for a young lion who, in my opinion, is far beyond, let's say, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Geale can hit you with both hands. He's very fast. He's a hoverer. He knows how to maneuver. I think Geale wins this fight. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com and on Roku at Dwyer Boxing. Thanks for stopping by.